Hello, welcome to Lolcow Universe News, your place for news and other ridiculous shenanigans from the Lolcow Universe. Yesterday's stream on Lolcow Live brought us a battle for nerds, beginning with Erik telling Keem that if Nerds has to go down to 2 hosts, he wants it to be himself and Zay. Keem ends up calling for Glamy to join the stream, and while waiting for her, Erik said something I found quite interesting.
Can we get Glamy in here? I think we need Glamy back in here. Boogie, are you listening to this?
Yeah, what the fuck is happening?
Erik just asked me to kick Glamy off of Nerds.
Jesus Christ. Erik, I never thought you would get flipped by Zay.
Listen, I'm gonna get flipped, but Zay is like literally my best friend. And we started a friendship, and if something happens to Nerds where she gets kicked out, I'm gonna lose my friendship.
Why would that be? That's bullshit. Why would you lose her? If she's your real friend, then guess what? You won't lose her just because you're not working together.
I find it interesting that Erik, who considers Zay his best friend, believes he will lose that friendship with her if she were to get fired from Nerds. Now, Zay did come in later and clarified to Erik that that would never happen, but I don't think he's entirely wrong for believing that. I mean, look at the examples Zay has set. Her and Glamy were up each other's asses before Glamy took off to travel right before Fat Camp, and once there was some distance there, Zay no longer seemed like she was friends with Glamy. Also, I'm pretty sure at one point it was admitted to by both Erik and Glamy that Zay threatened the docket team and the higher tier members would leave if Zay was fired. It may be a sad reality, but I don't think Erik is that far off base with this one. Now on to take a look at how Glamy reacted to hearing what Erik had proposed to Keem.
Well, Erik just told us that if Nerds goes down to 2 hosts, could it please be him and Zay? Because Glamy is the weak link on Nerds. That's what he said, basically.
Yeah, well... Okay, so I was doing most of the content for the Nerds at the camp, and I did. You know why? Because most of the shit was about me on the stream, and the thumbnails were all about me. So, and then when I jumped on, you guys went from like 300 to 700, so I call bullshit. Thank you so much.
Okay, listen. Glamy thinking she did most of the content for Nerds while she was at Fat Camp is such a bless your heart moment. The streams talking about her and her being on the thumbnails was simply because she was on location. The jump in numbers? Most likely not because of Glamy, but more because of the possibility of a cameo from other Lolcow hosts at Fat Camp. That ego of hers is awfully big for someone with such a weak spine and such little talent. Erik went on about Glamy missing meetings, and the two ended up arguing over who cared about the show more. Erik was really trying to get a gotcha with his reasonings for Glamy to leave Nerds, and surprisingly, she didn't do as terrible as she usually does in defending herself.
When we were in voice chat last night, Twiggy was showing us the video of something that's gonna be for Nerds, and that you were in there.
Yeah, guess who asked to make that happen? Yeah, that's right, it was me.
Don't try to come after me, bitch, because I will come at you back.
You came after me first, asshole! You came after me first! Sitting there saying that I was mid at my wedding! You jumped on me first! You don't want me coming after you, then don't come after me!
You were calling me all these things, like calling me Zay's puppet. It's like, I'm my own man, motherfucker. I'm my own man, and I can do my own choices. Like, hey, go fuck yourself.
You go fuck yourself too. Guess who told you that I said that? That wasn't me, sir. I bet you it was Zay.
He really thought he had her with that one, but she actually stood up for herself. I do find it funny, though, that Glamy doesn't seem to have a problem going off on Erik here, when normally she's a blubbery, stuttering mess anytime she tries to stand up for herself. Is she starting to get that thicker skin that she so desperately needs, or does she think she's superior to Erik, therefore making it less risky to go off on him? I find it hard to believe she'd have the same energy for, say, Tina or Xylee or Savage. Zay does end up joining the stream and telling her side of this proposal for the future of Nerds, with Glamy eventually sharing what she thinks should happen with the channel as well.
I think what Erik said was true, and he brought this up to me, so this whole I brought this up to Erik is like kind of funny. He brought this up to me the other day after Keem mentioned about there being 2 hosts on every show, Erik had brought this up to me and said that if it ended up being 2 hosts, that he would want it to be me and him. And then we talked about the conversation of like what that would look like and everything. So yeah, we had that conversation behind the scenes. Erik brought it up to me. And honestly, Glamy, you haven't shown up to meetings. You haven't been there for anything. And it's been before Fat Camp. We had this conversation with you before Fat Camp.
That's not true. You're lying again. Here,
We had the conversation live on air, Glamy.
You want to know the truth straight up? You want to know the truth? I'm going to tell you what. I want both of you out of the box. And I want to put Buck Weave in with me.
Chatted $20. Wow,
Fuck you, Glamy. Fuck you.
Going to Keem's event when they dodged it and were too lazy to go.
Fuck you for betraying everything that we stand for.
Yeah,
Right after you betrayed me first, both of you
I
sat
did
there,
not-
stood on yourself on live where I wasn't going to say anything, but both of you came out and said, yeah, you know what? I want it to be me and her. Guess what, motherfucker? I want the both of you gone, and I want to put Buck Weave in there, because he's awesome.
Assuming I believe this idea came from Erik of his own accord, it doesn't surprise me that Zay agrees with him. After all, she had no problem replacing Glamy when Becky fired her, even though they were allegedly really good friends. Zay will throw anyone under the bus to get ahead. Glamy coming in with her own plans like she's a real thinker cracked me up. Pretty sure the Discord and audience have been talking about putting Buff Weeb on Nerds for a minute now, but Glamy's out here acting like it's her idea. Has she even had any kind of real conversations with this guy to see what kind of chemistry they have, or is she just throwing shit at the wall hoping it'll stick? That desperation for relevancy and fame is strong with Little Miss Glamy. Later on in this stream, the LCU wartime reporter, Xylee, popped in with some burning questions for the Nerds hosts.
Hello, wartime reporter Xylee Gets Real here. I have a question. So, when Zay Zooted and Erik, this is for y'all, when y'all had the conversation about just being 2 hosts, what was your reasoning for that?
Because I was honestly the most easiest to work with because I did show up to every meeting. And when they usually do have a crash out both on and off show, trust me, the off show crash out are the worst. I try to be a real friend to her and try to calm her down.
Erik's answer to Xylee's question tells the tale most already believe. Him saying he's the easiest to work with is 100% not his own opinion. Those are Zay's words coming out of his mouth. He talks about being at every meeting and also being there for Zay for her crash outs, both on air and off, as if those are talents that would solidify his spot on Nerd. But it's just him being a yes man for Zay. Thus the reason she's all of a sudden BFFs with the guy. In my opinion, of course. Now let's take a look at Zay's answer to Xylee's question.
Zay, I have a question. Now, what was your reasoning for wanting it just being you and Erik?
So when he brought the conversation to me, like he said, he's like the only one who shows up to meetings. He helps me like actually come up with shit for the docket and like formulates the dockets with me every single morning. We do like a really in-depth meeting where we plan out everything we're doing for our show. And he has been extremely present for that, whereas Glamy has just not been. And when she does show up to meetings, she's extremely distracted.
Okay, am I the only one getting tired of hearing about these damn nerd meetings? It was brought up when Pharaoh was kicked from Nerds as well. At this point, I think the problem is the meetings, not the hosts that can't attend them. Zay goes on to explain how Glamy gets distracted and seems to have comprehension skills, which, let's be honest, is facts. We've all witnessed Glamy's inability to understand things, as well as constantly being distracted or forgetting what was just said. This conversation led to an unexpected Erik moment that left most pretty stunned.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I have been present
Was that
for
one
everything
meeting
up
that we were
until
in?
The fat camp made things
Glamy,
difficult.
I am talking right now. Please shut the fuck up.
I'll give you that one. You can have that one.
See, this is the issue that I was having on Nerds. The reason why I was struggling is because I literally, he kept getting interrupted when I'm trying to make a point.
Now, a lot of people were on Erik's side on this because of how much they disliked Glamy, and of course, her dumbass folded immediately. But the fact is, Glamy was actually talking first there, and Erik interrupted her. Erik going on to use this as another reason he thinks it should just be him and Zay is ridiculous, and in my opinion, it's Zay's words coming out of his mouth again. The reason I say that is because Zay is a constant overtalker and interrupter. She does it with everyone, including her co-hosts. And I bet she's the one who brought Glamy over talking Erik to his attention, conveniently leaving out that she also does it just as much, if not more. With Glamy being outnumbered, Brantley decided to join the stream to give some insight regarding Fat Camp.
So Glamy was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and also having just a little bit of a... Are you okay, Erik? I didn't know if... Okay. There was a lot of stuff that Glamy was doing. And also, there's a lot of fucking shows that were going live on one set. And there was barely any Wi-Fi. We had like 3 different routers. There was so much going on. So Glamy, out of her caringness and out of the thoughtfulness of her brain, decided, I need to find a way to call into the show because I know people are going to be mad. I know people are going to be upset. And she still tried to find a way multiple fucking times with everything that's fucking going on. And nobody gave her credit. Instead, everyone ridiculed her and made her feel even horrible.
First things first, if you were listening, this has been an issue since before Fat Camp. Whatever excuses for Fat Camp, this has been an issue since before Fat Camp. Second off, I understand that I didn't go to Fat Camp, but I also have to pay my own bills. I have some real world responsibilities that I have to be here to take care of, and I can't just take 2 weeks off. I can't. Like,
were you guys really that?
You were invited the last week of the fucking Fat Camp. You were invited for 2 days, and you agreed to do that. From my understanding, you agreed. Can you shut up? Thank you.
You're
I'm
just
talking.
making shit up.
Can you be? No, I'm not. I know everything that's happening.
I get that Brantley jumped on to defend Glamy because they are friends, and she has explanations for the complaints about Glamy's productiveness at Fat Camp. However, as a viewer, I don't buy that Glamy was so busy behind the scenes helping everyone out. I haven't seen one host shout her out the way I've seen Grimm, Beans, Twiggy, Wonder Woman, Roxy, and even Nightmare be shouted out for their help at Fat Camp. The few times Glamy was on stream, she used that it was her honeymoon as an excuse for her lack of effort, which to me is just stupid because she chose to have her wedding at Fat Camp and knew that she'd be combining the two things. Glamy prioritized herself over her show, period. And by prioritizing herself, I mean literally just taking a vacation. She obviously wasn't working on wedding stuff, as that was all planned on the last day in 6 hours by Brantley. Glamy wanted to go to Fat Camp for the experience and clout, not because it was her job. Up next is Keem clarifying the Fat Camp confusion regarding Zay and Erik's attendance as it leads into Zay learning that Brantley isn't like her co-hosts.
I think Erik and Zay were invited, but it never got finalized because it was so hectic and so busy I really wouldn't put that on Zay and Erik because I did mention it to him.
That's fine.
But it never
That's
got
totally fine.
It never got
but they
finalized.
knew that it was up in the opportunity, so they should have pushed more, correct? They're hosts. Then they wanted to be there. And yet they're going to criticize. They're going to criticize Glamy.
And it will
they're going to criticize Glamy. Who are you talking over right now? Who are you talking over? Because it's not me.
Because you're just making shit up,
I'm
dude.
still talking.
You're just making shit
I'm
up.
still talking. I'm not making anything up. I know more than you.
I don't agree with Brantley saying that they should have fought harder to get to Fat Camp. I get that a majority of the hosts were able to find a way to get there, including from other countries, but we don't know anyone's circumstances. If they couldn't make it, they couldn't make it, and it shouldn't be held against them, especially because they are such a low-ranking show in the universe anyways, and to be fair, their presence wasn't going to make or break Fat Camp. As the stream was coming closer to an end, Keem made the decision to suspend Lolcow Nerd at first, but changed his mind and said that they could still go ahead and stream and he would be making some major changes in the coming days. So fast forward to today's Nerd Show, where this argument about who should stay and who should go continued with the same things being said over and over until about an hour into the stream when Keem popped in to say he had already come to a decision.
You know, like the nice, respectful way to do this is like in private and whatnot, but we're entertainers. So, you know, the guillotine happening on a live show, you know, is, it's entertainment. So why not? But we do need to fix Nerds, and Nerds does need a new cast in the month of April to see if it can outperform what it did in March. And there is obviously there's an argument going back and forth that I don't know if it necessarily helps Nerds or hurts Nerds, but it just doesn't seem like it can continue. Glamy wants to take the channel in a completely different direction. Zay and Erik feel like they can't even work with Glamy. So we have to make a call here. This is not cool to do this. I don't like this part of the job just sucks. But change has to come. And Erik, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go.
Okay, fine.
You're not going to lose your host role. You'll still be a host. And if some other show happens, you know, then you could definitely, you know, some other opportunity happens, we could definitely get you on there. But
will I still get paid for the month of April?
Not April, March. Yes, the
Okay.
month you just did. But we appreciate you, King. You're a legend, and you know, you're still welcome in the LCU. Just nerds didn't work out. Sorry, bud. I'm gonna pull you out now. Now it comes down to Glamy and Zay. It's a tough one, but unfortunately, moving forward with the new cast, Glamy, I'm gonna have to let you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank God, bro.
Fuck you, Zay.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry, Glamy. I'll talk to you later. We'll figure out something.
So, who am I doing the show with?
Zay Zudit, I think you will truly, truly love your new co-host.
It's Buff Weeb, isn't it?
The new cast of Lolcow Nerds is the new cast of Lolcow Nerds is Zay Zudit and one Buff Weeb. Have a good April.
You heard Keem say that Erik and Glamy still will keep their host roles, and there may be a spot in the LCU in the future for them both. But honestly, I don't think Glamy should get any more chances. At some point, Keem has to realize it's not the shows he puts Glamy on that are the issue, it's Glamy herself. And as far as Erik goes, I don't think he should even be thought of as a possible host until Keem gets that Lego animation he was promised and has already paid for. Zay didn't look too happy with the boss's new decision, and I'm sure she'll be trying her darndest to find any reason to whine to Keem about Buff Weeb to try and get him kicked from the show. She's not much of a team player and doesn't handle any kind of pushback well, so it's looking like Nerds might actually be worth watching in the month of April. Maybe. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.